I mean, just music that makes you feel good about being back at the world's most famous Apex, everybody. Welcome to the People's Pre-Fight Show. We are a little under 30 minutes away from UFC Vegas 88, the follow-up event to UFC 299. Heavyweights in the main event. Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura will close the show. And thank you for joining us. I am Mike Heck. And back from vacation, my best friend, the Prince of Positivity, Mr. Alexander Cayley. AK, how we doing? How we feeling? Are you excited for the return to the world's most famous Apex?
I am back. I am excited. I'm excited to return to the world of combat sports. I was in New York. I don't know if people knew. I was in New York. Mike, I am New York. I found out during this trip. I was there. I was in the New York City itself for maybe 4 days. I was actually staying in Hoboken with my girlfriend's family at their wonderful, wonderful host. Shout out to my girlfriend's family. And yeah, I am New York. I know I love Toronto. Toronto, greatest city in the world. But I'm a man of many nations, as I realized on this trip. But yeah, I saw Jose Youngs while I was there. I went to the Vox Media offices for the first time in the 7 or 8 years that I've been working for MMA fighting. I went to the Vox Media offices, met up with Ariel and New York Rick and Connor Burks and Mysterious Frank, and it was great. Saw a little bit of the show, and yeah, it was just a good time. I'm refreshed. I'm ready to talk combat sports, my friend. Apparently, I missed a lot while I was away.
Yeah, you know who else people think might be New York? Me. And you know who you didn't see? Who wasn't on that list of people you just named? Me.
Oh, the timing. When you were in New York City, I was in Rochester. I was in Rochester, New York. We were checking out the Strong Toy Museum. People, if you're in Rochester, anywhere near, within driving distance of Rochester, please check out the Toy Museum. Especially if you have children. My goodness, you must go there. It is, I don't have kids yet, but when I do, I will take them back there. It was fantastic.
Apparently my audio is a little low, so we'll boost her up a little bit.
All right, crank it.
Also, I'm still pretty sick, so I'm trying to battle through it and not just wreck myself slowly but surely. But this is the People's Pre-Fight Show, so we're just going to answer your questions.
Enough about us.
On stuff. So throw them in there, mostly about this card. I'm sure we're going to talk about some other things that have happened over the last 24 hours. And, of course, we have the Super Chat feature, so if you want to jump over the line, you want to surpass the regulars, you know how to do it. So, let's get into this thing. All right, let's go to the popular question here. Jay, what do you guys think about the flyweights' reactions to Steve Erceg getting the title shot? A lot of them seem very unhappy, but the matchup makes sense to me. How about you guys? So, look, it's not just the flyweights. It seems like the MMA community as a whole has all had a certain reaction to this, and it was like, huh? What? This is what we're doing? And I guess I understand that, but after Curtis Blades beat Jailton Almeida, at this point, you had to understand 301 was kind of done at that point. There wasn't really much else you could do. Renato Moicano is fighting on UFC 300, but not on 301. I don't understand why 300 needs, and I love Money Moicano. I'm not taking anything away from him. Him and Jalen Turner is a freaking banger. But couldn't you have waited 3 more weeks to put this on 301 so Renato Moicano could, I don't know, fight in freaking Brazil? What doesn't that make more sense than fighting on the early prelims of UFC 300? It's crazy to me, the booking that has gone on here. But as you saw, AK, Alexander Pantoja has his title defense. He will fight Steve Erceg at UFC 301. Your reaction to this and your reaction to everybody else's reaction?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think Steve Erceg's a great fighter. You may as well give him a title shot sooner rather than later. It does look screwy on paper when you look at the people he jumped over. So we get it. We get the reaction. We get why some people might be perturbed. But a lot of the people ahead of him, again, either Pantoja has beaten multiple times or they didn't really do the thing and try and get this fight. Mokaev, first and foremost, I mean, he kind of waffled between saying, I definitely deserve the title shot, but also saying, I'm willing to fight Royval. Let's make that happen in England. And that leaves the door open, man. I mean, the UFC hears you say that, and then they're like, well, that's good, because they didn't love Mokaev's last win. That's for sure. And then with him being willing to step aside, the UFC, if they know you're willing to step aside, they will be happy to let you do it. You want to step aside? By all means, thank you. Makes things easier for us, especially if they have other options or someone coming off an impressive performance, as Steve Erceg did. So, Mike, if they had just listened to you, maybe no one would be so perturbed or surprised. We were talking about this before we just went on air. You had kind of laid out a scenario when we were doing pre-fight talk before Steve Erceg's last fight, that he could sneak in there, and you didn't think it would be the headline. I think you said specifically, like as you just mentioned, it should have been Gelson Almeida and Aspinall if Almeida had won, but Erceg would have been a fine title fight contestant for Pantoja in that situation. Instead, we're getting that, but they're also being trusted to headline. Yeah, they've done weird business with 301. I guess they're relying on just the fact that it's in Brazil to do good business. But if I recall, the last time they went to Brazil, and maybe it wasn't a pay-per-view, they didn't sell out, right? Was this not a notable story? They didn't sell out, that there was a lot of empty seats up in the nosebleeds, if I'm remembering correctly.
So Gelson Almeida, Derek Lewis is the last time they were in Brazil.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Prior to that was the Glover Teixeira, Jamal Hill card, and there was like nobody at that one.
Yeah.
Because they priced out everybody who would go and make all of the noise. So we'll see what happens here. I don't know. Someone had hit me up, and may even been in our Slack channel, that like Madonna's doing a free show in Rio like the same time as 301.
Yep.
Which means a lot of people probably ain't going to 301 when they can go to a free show with like one of the biggest stars ever in music. So it's a choice, and I thought this was possible, but I also thought Gelson Almeida was going to beat Curtis Blades, and we would be living in a world where Tom Aspinall, Gelson Almeida would be the main event of UFC 301. And then at that point, Pantoja can fight you, me, Steve Erceg, Muhammad Mokaev, Manel Kopp, Brandon Royval, Brandon Moreno. Doesn't matter, because you have a solidified main event. It's all you need is Pantoja just to fight on that card. But now you're asking for heavy lifting. We'll see what the co-main event ends up being. I don't know. But look, May just seems to be the throwaway card. We had it last year too. The Aljamain Sterling Henry Cejudo card. Go back and look at that card on paper. It was pretty rotten to look at, especially after they lost Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush, and they had to rush in Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad, because boy, oh boy, that sold 10 million extra pay-per-views on 10 days notice. It didn't sell one ticket. No, because it's the worst. It's the dumbest co-main event booking maybe ever. Because it made absolutely no sense. And I knew how this is all going to play out. And I knew Bilal Muhammad would be sitting around for a year with nothing to do. And this is exactly how it played out. It's just so dumb, that matchmaking. So, look, the UFC doesn't care at the end of the day. I know a lot of people are like, well, they could go out and sell 500,000 pay-per-views. They don't care. ESPN's giving them a big fat 8-figure paycheck just to put this card on their network. So if you buy it or not, like, doesn't matter to them. They're still making tens of millions of dollars for UFC 301.
Yeah,
the gate's still going to be decently strong.
I'm pretty sure
they'll
Brazil,
do some pay-per-views. Yeah,
pretty sure Brazil's paying them a site. Again, we know wherever they go, they get paid site fees now, right? So the UFC makes money as soon as they book a card to show up somewhere. They are already in the black. That's good, right? They're in the black. They're already in the black. They're already in the clear. They're making money no matter where they go. So it's ESPN plus. If for ESPN, for whatever reason, business suffered so badly that it wasn't worth them investing in the UFC, and I don't think that's the case, then it's ESPN that would be hurt by this, and the venue that's paying money, and the area that's hoping the UFC comes in and brings all this money in. If that starts to not hit the levels that they want to reach, then those are the people who will be unhappy. But the UFC, through all this, a lot has to happen for, again, the UFC to be hurt by, quote unquote, like a weak card or a card not hitting 500,000 pay-per-views. They're in the black as soon as the card is booked, as soon as they get paid a site fee, and as soon as they keep collecting their ESPN checks. So they can take a hit. They can take a reputational hit. It's like, oh, it didn't do well at pay-per-view and it didn't sell out. On to the next one. They do 40-something cards a year. They're fine. UFC's just fine.
Dude, they're selling those pay-per-views at $80 a pop. 200,000 people are going to buy that. They're going to buy that pay-per-view. Even if it's awful, 200,000 people are going to buy every pay-per-view. So they're still going to make money off of it. It's going to be okay. let's look at the rest of the card.
All right.
Could we be living in a world where where Caio Borralho could be the co-main event again? This time on a pay-per-view?
Why not?
Against Paul Craig, Anthony Smith, Vitor Petrino. Good for Vitor getting his wish. Michelle Pereira against Mahmoud Muradov. I mean, it's fine, but I kind of expected something a little wilder for Mr. Pereira. Joaquim Silva, Drakkar Klose. Man, can Drakkar Klose get like no offense to Joaquim Silva because he's fun, but like a meaningful fight? Dude's power bombing dudes unconscious, and he's still fighting the Joaquim Silvas of the world. I just want to see him get tested. He's been like a top 15 guy for so long, and he's just not getting the fights. Alessandro Costa, Kevin Borjas, Dione Barboza versus Ernesta Karakady. Joe Anderson Brito versus Jack Shore is a good fight. Elvis Brenner versus Miktebek Oralby absolutely
Great
rules.
Amazing.
That's a tremendous fight. John Silva, William Gomis is going to be fun. And then Karolina Kovacevic versus Yasmin Lucindo on that card. So, yeah, it's a thing that's happening.
It's a good card. It's a good card. It's just not, this triumphant return to Brazil, the star-studded triumphant return to Brazil. They can't because the stars are scattered all over other cards in the weeks preceding and the weeks following.
I mean, they just had to put Pereira versus Jabal Hill as the main event of 300. This would have been perfect for 301. Perfect. Ugh. Craziness. Thank you, The Last Stand 001. We're talking UFC Vegas 88. Does anyone on this card need to do the thing, AK?
Yeah, Penny Kianzad or Macy Chasson, if they get a big... I wrote this at the predictions that came out Saturday morning, and I was saying, like, there's really a world where one of these women fights for the women's bantamweight title before the end of the year or early next year. It's just such a thin division, and as long as UFC keeps promoting it, they'll need title challengers for whoever it is that's holding the belt, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, a year from now. So, and Penny's got a pretty strong UFC record. Macy's a bit of a weird case. She hasn't even made 135 in like 3 years. I think this is her first fight she's going to make 135 for, that she has made, she made the weight. She has made 135 for since exactly like March 2021, so like exactly 3 years. But yeah, one of them has to get a finish or some sort of dominant performance. Yeah, you can make some sort of call. I doubt either of them will. I'd be very surprised to see Penny or Macy say, oh yeah, I'm next for the title. If they did, great. I say go for it. That's one of those things where I just say shoot your shot. You don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you get a Steve Erceg situation. You just slot in there for whatever reason. At least put yourself on the short list. And sticking with women's bantamweight, again, Josiane Nunes, like she shouldn't even be on the prelims for one thing. I think she's going to absolutely annihilate Chelsea Chandler. And I think Josiane Nunes is so entertaining. Again, she's not going to call for a title shot. That would just be shocking. But yeah, it would just be the women's bantamweights because I can't see anyone else doing the thing. But Mike, I guess doing the thing doesn't necessarily mean title shot. So maybe just to volley it over to you. What about, like, should someone call for a top 10 opponent? Should someone call for a top 15 opponent coming off, getting a win here?
I think doing the thing is like having the performance, good work on the mic afterwards. Like you're in the headlines for your performance in and out of the cage. Like it's not just calling, for a title shot, like you said, but just a good call out, a reminder. I honestly, this card is just, there's no stakes here. There's zero stakes on this card outside of Tai Tuivasa, whether or not he loses 4 fights in a row. Even the women's bantamweights that are ranked, sure, we'd love to live in a world where Josiane Nunes fights for a title someday. But with where this division is right now, it's still so far away from that happening because we don't even know when Raquel Pennington's going to have her first title defense. We expect it to be against Juliana Pena. Kayla Harris and Holly Holm still has to happen. And, if the winner of that's probably getting the next shot, and who the hell knows when that fight will actually happen. So it's still a long way from now. I do think this is going to be a fun watch. I'll say the correct answer is nobody needs to do the thing because I don't think it matters for this card or next week's card. I would like to see Mike Davis do the thing.
Oh,
I would like to see Mike Davis do the thing. And it doesn't have to be, hey, Islam, I'm coming, bro. I'll see you in June. Forget Poirier, it's me. Just the layoffs, everybody asking about him. Where has he been? He comes in and just flattens out Natan Levy, who missed weight, and then is like, this is my year. I'm going to be active. I don't know, call out rando top 15 lightweight or guy just outside top 15. Good call out that we're talking about. Like, that's doing the thing. That's probably as good as you could do in regards to doing the thing from this lineup.
Man, Mike Davis debuted in April 2019. He's fought in the UFC 4 times. Like,
I know.
that's tough, man. That's tough. This is his first fight in over 530 days. Second fight since January 2021, and just his third fight since October 2019. It is, that guy just cannot, whatever it is, health, he cannot stay in there. And remember we had that fight with Mason Jones? How that was like a fight of the year, top 5 fight of the year. And we were all like, man, this guy's like a real, just another mover and shaker in lightweight, and just cannot get in there, cannot get in the cage.
That wasn't even his best fight. That wasn't even like the best fight he was in underneath like the quote unquote Zuffa banner. Because it was the Contender Series fight with Sodiq Yusuff. That fight is so good. And if you, again, I'll say this every day forever to those who will listen. If you have never watched Sodiq Yusuff versus Mike Davis from the Contender Series, you need to watch this fight. And as I said on the preview show yesterday, if that fight had happened in 2019 or 2020 or any other year, Mike Davis would have been in the UFC long before he got into the UFC, because Sodiq Yusuff got a contract, but they didn't give contracts to losing fighters back then. And now Mike Davis would have got a contract even if he got knocked out in the 3rd round, because everybody gets contract this time around. So that fight rules. Very excited to see that fight today.
By the way, real quickly, I see people asking for like a gymnastics score. Obviously, it's not super high. I would give it like but higher than people think. It's like a 7, because Mike, you said there is a chance for entertainment. I actually think there's going to be quite a few finishes, mostly because I think some of these fights on paper are bigger mismatches than people might realize. Like, it's one of those cards where you don't know the names, and it's closer to like a regional card. And yeah, when you watch a regional card like this, there's typically a lot of finishes. So I think if that's your gauge of how good a card is, you'll be pleasantly surprised. But yeah, as far as name power and stakes and maybe competitiveness of some of these fights, I don't know if you'll be pleased there. But there should be some highlights. This would not be surprising if it was a 4 performance of the night bonus show and not no fight of the night. Could be something.
Yeah, if today is your day to just like chill on the couch, have some good food, it's a cheat day, you want to just chill out, have a couple of bevies and some food, and you want to grill some stuff up, or you want to order out, and you just want to sit there and watch like good fights and some good finishes and some scraps, this is going to be the card for you. Like, this is going to be a good one. We're just not going to be talking about this card like after on to the next one on Sunday. It's just the nature of the beast. It's just one of those things. Thank you, Fahim. What if UFC 300 wasn't during Ramadan? Enjoy the fights. Based on what I've heard from Islam Makhachev, probably he would have fought Leon Edwards in the main event of UFC 300, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how different it would look, but it would have been much easier for the UFC to find a 300 worthy headliner, as it were.
Jake, is the UFC just going to not care for 301 or 302 and so on because they stacked the beginning of this year? Guys, this happens every year. This happened last year. We got, what was the January pay-per-view was kind of a throwaway because we had to whip together a light heavyweight title fight on like 2 weeks notice just to headline that card. Mm-hmm. But February was Islam versus Volk, and that was obviously a great card. March was the return of John Jones. Then they went back to London for Leon versus Usman. Then they did the Izzy Pereira rematch in Miami. That card was friggin' insane too. Loaded top to bottom. Every fight on that card was great. It was a memorable one. And then again, we go to May. May is always this is what we have left over. We're just going to chuck it against the wall and see what sticks. UFC 288, awful card. Then we had UFC 289. No offense, AK. Awful card. Like, on paper, awful. Fun watch because it was just, decent matchups. Amanda Nunes, Irene Aldana was the main event. We ended up getting Charles Oliveira, Beneil Dariush, but other than that, it was just, yikes, not good. So, yes, the answer is no, they're not going to care for the same reasons we just talked about. And then we're going to get 2 pay-per-views in June this year, it appears. June 1st, right now, Newark is the target. But then guess what's supposed to happen 4 weeks after that? International Fight Week. So they'll make up for it there. Maybe give us another. Then we get a throwaway one in August when there's like 18,000 things happening all in the summertime. It's ebbs and flows. That's all.
Yeah, this is normal, guys. This is, again, it's like probably like a lot of business want to run. You want to say we start off the year with a bang, we just up. You know, the graph is trending upwards in the year. You level off middle, and then you end strong, because they always try to stack the December card, the November return to MSG. So International Fight Week, obviously they'll try and land a big hit there, but they don't mind. I should say they don't mind. They don't really have a choice. Just they run so many cards. It's impossible for them to put on 14 like stacked pay-per-views, 13 or 14 stacked pay-per-views every year. It's just not feasible. But barring an incredible rush of talent and contenders over the next like 5 years, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see very, very strong cards early on, as Mike said, February, March, April. International Fight Week, one of the June or July is going to be pretty strong, though really you could still see a little bit of a drop there. And then once they get to October, November, December, you're going to have a big landing again. So that's it. That's how it works, and it's fine. It's not a bad formula. It's not a bad formula. The average fan, again, you guys, I don't think you can pay and watch every pay-per-view these days. I'd be amazed. I don't think the average fan is expected to, and I don't think the UFC, if you do, they love you. If you don't, hey, you bought 6 pay-per-views, you bought 4 pay-per-views. Either way, they're happy. That's probably a good day for the UFC.
Yes. Let's see what else we got here. Is there a chance UFC stops going to Brazil if these cards keep?
Yeah, we kind of mentioned before. Like, yeah, it would have to be. Yeah. It would have to vastly underperform and really hurt the business of the venue. And again, the people in the area that are like relying on the whatever money the UFC event is supposed to bring in, it would have to drop to significantly poor levels. So it's possible, but it would be like a break. Like they wouldn't stop going, and like they might not go for a year and then retool, but they would have never stopped going.
Yeah, and if there's an area in Brazil that is going to pay them a site fee, then they will never stop going.
There they go.
It doesn't matter what the card looks like; they will continue to go because they're being paid to go to their city, which is a big part of their business model right now. Like Miami. Did you watch 299? They're going to Miami. They're going to go to Miami every year, anyways. But now they're running Miami tourism commercials. Like they're paying them to go.
Yep.
And they're drawing massive gates, so that also helps. David, how many fights does Tuivasa have left on his contract? Bare knuckle is waiting. I don't know. I would assume he's got a bunch left based on like that run he had.
It's possible.
Before the losing streak. And we're at a point where these guys are signing like 8-fight deals. I'd say he has like 3 or 4 left.
Yeah, if he has, he's not getting cut if he loses. Like he's not going to cut it. They keep him around because they know he's going to bring excitement and the possibility of first round knockout. And it might have to be like 6 straight before they have a talk with him and say, "Hey, do you want out of your current contract?" and have a mutual parting of ways.
Thank you, Kenny. Who of the 10 attendees at the world's most famous Apex will loan Tai Tuivasa a shoe? AK.
Who's gonna? I was gonna say like a Nelk boy or something, but I don't think
it's definitely gonna be like Steve will do it or Steiny or one.
Are they there? Dudes. Are they there?
Probably.
Would they be there?
Probably. It wouldn't shock me. I'll say. God. Oh, I was gonna say Jamal Hill because he's at every event.
Oh, true.
I'll say Jamal Hill.
That'd be a scene just for the social media, the YouTube, put on his YouTube. Yeah, I can see
that. Thank you, Achilles. AK, happy birthday, you Canadian. Mike Casey and the Canadian. Do you see Tai ever getting a title shot later on down the line? Can you see Tai Tuivasa getting a title shot now? AK,
if he loses, you kind of have to rule it out. That'd be 4 straight. He'd have a very strange career. He had a 3-fight losing streak back in the day, then bounced back with a 4 straight, and it rose to I think as high as like number 3 or number 4 in our rankings. I think the UFC was the same. I think he was about number 3 because he beat Derek Lewis and just kind of took his spot. And if you want to use Lewis as the sort of prototype, then yeah, Lewis kind of eventually like grinded his way to a title shot. Did Lewis have 2 title shots or 1 interim? Oh, 1 interim, 1 undisputed, right? I think he fought Cyril Gane for an interim, right? Cyril Gane was interim, right?
Yes.
And then DC he fought at Madison Square Garden. So he'd have to follow that kind of path. But Derek Lewis, as far as I can remember, never quite hit this rough patch of 2 or 3 or 4 straight losses. He always seemed to find a way to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. So it's tough. He doesn't have that consistency. I think he could be the next Derek Lewis in terms of, again, being a reliable guy that the UFC keeps around for like 20 fights, and to headline Apex shows and co-main event, more watered down pay-per-views. It's going to be really hard for him to get a title shot at this point. So I'm going to say no. I think that should. And he's not very old. He's like 31, which is very young for a heavyweight, but I don't think he will. Mike, I don't know.
One of the things that I have fought for that I never got, I think there's a few things, obviously, that I have fought for and never got as someone who covers and watches the sport. But I would say in the top 3 is Tai Tuivasa not getting a title shot after he knocked out Derek Lewis. That was like the perfect time to give it to him because Francis was still negotiating. We didn't know what he was going to do. John Jones kept teasing he was coming back, and we just got to the point that we didn't think he'd ever come back. And we were just waiting to see what happened because Francis fought like in January before that contract expired and then left the following January. Like, I kept just saying, like, just throw Tai in an interim title fight. Just throw him in. What are we doing? He's never going to be as over as he is now. He's never going to be ranked higher than he is now because eventually he's going to fight somebody who's like very good at fighting because he's won so many in a row. Man, like, I really wish he just got the opportunity. And I didn't even care, even if he lost and it didn't go well. Just what a moment it would have been to see Tai Tuivasa come out to like Genie in a Bottle by Christina Aguilera to fight for the interim heavyweight title. That would have been incredible. It would have been incredible. So, unfortunately, he will not get there now, but they had their chance and they didn't take it, which I'm kind of surprised by.
Yeah, we're in agreement.
We're in agreement. What else do we have? Casey's actually not here, guys.
So yeah, I see people ask for a Casey chair spin. Sorry, guys, I can't. I would give you one.
That's why we have this little setup.
My chair situation is a little tight right now. So.
Joseph has like 800,000 questions in here, so I'm just gonna click on one. Joseph,
Joseph,
what are the thoughts on the 3 misses we had on the scale yesterday?
Oh man, okay. I mean, so this is such a weird thing to say because I'm one of the people who has said for a long time, like, women's featherweight is. I'm not the only one. Many people said women's featherweight is not a real division, but there's like 3 people on this card, 4 people. You could have made these fights women's featherweight fights. No one would have batted an eyelash or cared. I know Macy Chiasson sees herself as a bantamweight, and she has made it before, so it's not like she's like, I don't think she's campaigning for 145 division. But Macy Chiasson, wouldn't her life be easier if there was one, and like you could just compete there instead of having to do this very, very tough weight cut? Chelsea Chandler is also someone who's before coming to the UFC, I think had only competed at featherweight. Maybe she'd done a bantamweight fight before, but mostly competed at featherweight, and then now we're making her cut to 135. Josiane Nunes, I mean, she's only been fighting at featherweight for poops and giggles. Like she looks like a friggin' flyweight. I don't even know why she's fighting at 135, but she's fought at featherweight. Her last 2 fights were at featherweight. So, I don't know why we're still making these women cut down for a division that it's not that other than its past prestige, is not that much more relevant than the otherwise non-existent featherweight division. So that's strange. Who are the Nathan Levy and Danny Silva? Danny Silva, a newcomer, so that's disappointing to see. Nathan Levy, I'm not sure what happened there. We haven't seen him fight in a while, so yeah, disappointing to see. Not that surprising though, just given the circumstances under which some of these fighters were asked to cut weight. So they're fortunate. It's a card not a lot of people talking about because it's not going to make too many headlines. I do think. I'm trying to think if anyone's job is in danger if they lose for missing weight. I don't know. Maybe Chelsea Chandler. That's
maybe
that Norma Dumont fight was memorable for the wrong reasons. So again, a talented fighter. I don't know why they're making her cut down to 135. So yeah, but overall, not a huge deal. I don't think it's a huge deal.
Jamal Hill was only at the Apex because he was covering at the PI. Now he's back in Detroit training. No. You didn't hear what I said. I said he shows up to every event. And I mean every event. Like Apex, Jacksonville, Austin, Charlotte. No matter where in the country the UFC is, Jamal Hill found a seat. He was there. So it would not surprise me if he is in the PI today. Would not surprise me. This is a women's featherweight Grand Prix, except they're competing at bantamweight. Yes.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Like, why? What are we doing with this one? We've even said before, just do 135 and up then. Just do 135. Make women's bantamweight and change it to women's heavyweight. One, you call it women's heavyweight, it'll get a lot of people go like more interested, like, whoa, women's heavyweight, this is crazy.
Hell yeah, dude.
And then you make the limit 135 and whatever, bring in whoever you want. I mean, you can still have an upper limit. Make the upper limit 165.
55. 156.
There you go. Women's lightweight.
Yeah.
What do we call it? Women's lightweight. But just call the whole division heavyweight. How much more fun would that be?
So much more fun.
MMA is supposed to be fun. MMA is supposed to be fun. Let's do this. Come on.
We were talking about this forever. They should just get rid of it and just do one big division that spans 134 to 156. I'm out in Hawaii, live near Max, been watching him train, surf, and skate for years. What's your thoughts on this fight coming up? I mean, AK, you know my thoughts on this fight. This is my on to the next one pick for both guys. Every single fight they've had for 3 years until they finally made it. I can't freaking wait for it. And I can't wait for it to the point where I went on Heck of a Morning yesterday and defended Bo Nickel being on the main card of UFC 300 because you need a fight that is going to be over so quickly to set you up because we're going to be just hankering for that fight. And as soon as the Bo Nickel fight is over, it's Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje time. So you let Bo and Cody do the damn thing. And, you know, even if Bo loses, he's going to lose big. That fight's not going to last long. It ain't going to the cards. Probably ain't getting out of the first round. And as soon as it's over, it's right to Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. And I can't freaking wait for it.
Yeah, it's a dream. It's literally an on to the next one dream match. It has been, you've called for it. It has been suggested by matchmaking listeners countless times. It's one of those fights where if it didn't happen, we would have kind of looked back on that as, even though I get it, you know, one guy's been a lifelong featherweight, one guy's been a lifelong lightweight, we still would have been like, we still felt it was very realistic their paths could cross, and I'm so grateful that we're getting it. So, you know, the UFC matchmakers are just on top of these things. I don't see how anyone complain about the UFC 300 lineup. I mean, it's just that one fight is just super spectacular.
I disagree, Mike. You don't need Bo on there. Look at 201. There's no fight like that on the main card. You want to know why? Because there wasn't 3 freaking title fights on either of those cards. That's why. Come on, man.
Let me read a
those fights, there is a world where we're getting 25 minutes of all 3 of those fights, guys.
Yep.
All 3 of them. I don't think we'll get it with Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. I think that fight probably ends sooner. But there is a world where we end the night with decision. And we need something to spread it out a little bit. And a quick 2-minute finish is going to be just what you need to get you right to the big fights.
It's a very it's very logical pro wrestling style booking. You put that squash match in there, give the crowd a quick pop, and also a chance to kind of chill, and then there you go. Then you move on with the rest of the card. You move on with your triple main event or whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't know.
Yep. Okay. Broadcast it just started.
Okay, we can hang. I think we can hang a little bit longer, right? I see some people talking.
We got John Gooden, Dominic Cruz, Michael Bisping.
There you go. That's not bad. I want to read this comment.
Bisping and Cruz. Sheesh.
You know, let's give it a chance.
This is gonna be some back and forth shout fighting between those two gentlemen.
Dale Brooks wants to know what bet do you have that you feel most confident in? Now, I will always say, of course, don't gamble on MMA, number 1 rule. But Mike, I'll jump in first here, and I'll say Josiane Nunes KO. Chelsea. I shouldn't say that because there's a chance she just kind of batters her for 3 rounds and does not get a knockout, because I feel like Josiane Nunes is giving up a lot of size in this division. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she can't make 125. She's very stout and a powerful looking fighter. So maybe she can't make 125, but I feel like that's her future. But I'm such a Josiane Nunes fan. I would, if I had to make one bet, it would be Nunes by knockout.
I'm incredibly confident in all the bets that I have today because I don't have any, because I only bet on the watch party cards. But let me take a gander. I know, like, based on just our little staff picks that we have, I think there's a ton of dog value on this card.
Ooh.
I definitely see it. I think Jacqueline Amarim is a live underdog. I think...
I haven't really looked at the odds for the...
I think Christian Rodriguez is a live dog.
There's a lot of hype over.
I think Pani Kianzad is a live dog. I think Angelosa is a live dog. I'm not picking Angelosa, but I think there's value at plus 160. I think there's a lot of underdog value here. I think there's a lot of underdog value here. So
Okay, and remember what Jed always says,
Will.
Will. Do not parlay those. That's good advice, Mike. That's good advice to take a look at those fights, guys. Do not parlay them. Just if you're going to pick underdogs, just take them as singles. Just take them as singles. Sprinkle a couple of dollars here, a couple of dollars there, and have a fun night. Don't bet too much, guys, especially on a card like this where if you're not familiar with the fighters and you're just going by odds, like just take it easy. A couple of bucks here. Yeah.
I mean, you could always passive parlay. Kanza Chiasan over 2.5. All the women's fights over if you do all the women's fights over 1.5, like you're gonna hit it. You're gonna hit that.
No, Josie Ann
crazier.
Josie Ann's gonna. I don't know. Josie Ann might split.
All right, so here's what I'd put together because I hit a 5-leg passive parlay for $2.99.
Oh, he's hot.
Jacqueline Amarim, Corey McKenna over 2.5. Let's see. Penny Kanza base Chiason's 1,000% going over 2.5. So there's those two right there are minus 103. And now I'm gonna do alternate total rounds, and we're gonna go find Josiane Nunes over 1.5.
Ooh, interesting.
So there you go. Over 2.5 for Amarim McKenna, over 2.5 Kianzad Chiason, over 1.5 Josiane Nunes, Chelsea Chandler, and that pays plus 184. And you know what? This goes against everything I believe in. This goes against my principles. Goes against it all. Done.
Oh, you just did it. You just did it.
I just did it.
You just saw. You people just saw a man punching a bet live.
I just did it
on national YouTube television. Just punching
plus 184.
Plus 184. So we can follow along. Can we recap that, Mike? Can we follow along? Play along with you at home. What is your? Let's recap that again, real quick.
I just deleted it. Hold on.
McKenna Amarim over 2.5.
Yes.
Kansas
fight over 2.5. Okay, there it is. Amarim McKenna over 2.5. Kansas Chiasan over 2.5. Nunes Chandler over 1.5 pays at plus 184.
There you go, guys. If you want to,
there it is.
I would say $1, $2 bets. Do not be a hero. Just do it for fun, just to make those fights maybe a little more intriguing for you than they normally would be. That's it. That's all the gambling. For anyway.
I had a great betting night for $2.99. It's just a tremendous one. Gilbert Burns, I was so close on hitting that one. And then I had a bet on Marlon Vera losing by 5.5 points or less. And boy, did that not go well, because Sean just blew him out of the water and won by 16 points. He won by 16 points against Marlon Vera. So we're about to get our first fight.
Yes, who we have
of the festivities.
Is this Charlampos Grigoriou or Chad Enhelliger?
I believe that is Chad. Yes.
All right.
Canada's
own. I should know. I apologize, Chad.
Chad and Ellinger. AK, what are your bonus predictions for this card?
Oh, let's do this. Tai Tuivasa is going to get a knockout. He's getting a bonus. Josiane Nunes is going to annihilate Chelsea Chandler. That's going to be a bonus. Thiago Moises, I think, is definitely going to get a finish, but I think he won't get a bonus. So I'll go Gerald Mearshart. I think he's going to submit Brian Barberena. So I'm going no fight of the night. Sorry. So 3 performance bonuses, and also, maybe we go Kennedy and Nzechukwu knockout of OSB, and he gets a bonus. So Tuivasa and Nzechukwu, Mearshart, and Josiane Nunes.
So no fight of the night.
No fight of the night.
Tai Tuivasa. Brian Battle.
Oh, okay. Talk to.
Come from behind. Finish of Angelusa in round 3.
I like that.
I think Kennedy's too big of a favorite. I agree with you, Gerald Mearshart. And I will say... I'll say Mike Davis.
Okay. Oh, get the finish. I kept feeling that one goes to a decision, but you think maybe a big finish for
some late finishes
for Beast Boy, and then he does the thing as you kind of hoped for earlier. He does the thing. This is his year.
He does the thing.
This is his year.
All right. So let's go to our main card picks before we wrap on up. We will begin with just one of the reasons why middleweight is so good. The Get God All-Stars getting after it. Gerald Mearshart, minus 245. The comeback on Brian Barberena, plus 200. I think we're in the same boat here, AK. I have Gerald Meerschaert by decision round 2, or not by decision round 2, submission round 2, because that's impossible. Submission round 2 for Gerald Meerschaert.
I'm going submission round 1.
Submission round 1. We go to the high stakes women's bantamweight contest between Macy Chiasson and Penny Kianzad. Right now, Macy Chiasson, big favorite, -245. Come back on Penny Kianzad, +200. What do you got?
Kianzad avenges the TUF 28 featherweight final and wins the decision.
This would be one of the ones like I would take a little peek at for Penny at +200, because this should be line way closer. It just should be. Could go either way. It's definitely much closer to a 50-50 fight than -245 +200. So my pick is also Penny Kianzad by decision in a fight we are never, ever, ever going to rewatch ever again. Do we forget a main card fight?
Christian Rodriguez
versus Isaac Dolgarian. The order in DraftKings is way off. We'll go there now. Isaac Dolgarian, -192. Christian Rodriguez comes back at +160. The former, I don't even know if we can call him a former UFC bantamweight because he hasn't made weight before. So moves up to 45. Who do you got here, AK?
I like Christian at 145. I think he has a future at bantamweight, but I like him just kind of focusing on fighting and not having to worry about this weight cut because he just doesn't have the, routine for it yet. So I like him to take a decision, avoiding some hairy moments in round 1. Dolgarian is a fast finisher, but I'll go with Rodriguez to outlast him and take the decision.
I got Rodriguez as well, but Dolgarian could boink him out real quick in like 3 minutes because he does that to everybody. But if this fight gets extended, I fully think Christian Rodriguez gets this done. And if Isaac has a big first round and Christian survives, the live line's probably gonna have Christian at like +600 or something. Might not be worth a little stabberoo on that. Just throwing that out there for all the crazies. We go to the featured bout, Kennedy Nzechukwu, -675. He takes on Ovince St. Preux. The comeback on him, +490. It's Kennedy Nzechukwu, KO round 1. That's just where I'm at. Although I wouldn't touch this fight with the 10-foot pole. Yeah,
I'm going round 2. I mean, OSP's, listen, the guy's still super talented, still in shape. He could finish someone in the first round. And Kennedy's not the fastest starter, but I think OSP's 41, or he's about to be 41. And I know AJ nothing but a number, but he's up there. And the mileage too, I think it's 25 UFC fights, it's 25th UFC fight, something like that. So I don't know how long he withstand Kennedy's offense. I'm going knockout in the second round.
Co-main event, Brian Battle, or what do we call him this, AK? This isn't co-main event.
It's penultimate. It's penultimate. It can't be a co-main. Okay. I mean, there's
penultimate fight. Brian Battle, the -192 favorite. He takes on Angelosa, comes back at +160. It needs to be a fun fight, AK, but who gets this one done?
Man, I mean, Luska put a lot of pressure on him, but I'm a believer in Battle. I'm a believer. I think he's looked really good. I think he gets the better of Lusa by the end of round 1. We see some Lusa wrestling in round 2, and then Battle takes that opportunity to out-grapple him and get a submission.
I got Battle TKO round 3.
Ooh, drama.
In a fight, he could be losing 20-18 before that happens.
Drama.
But I think Battle's going to lose first round. Lewis is still going to look good, super athlete, but I just don't know if with that pace and that stature and all that muscle can go like a full fast 15 minutes. I didn't like what I saw at the end of the Reese McKee fight. And if he starts to fade against a guy like Brian Battle, it is not going to end well for him. So give me Brian Battle, comeback victory. And then we go to the main event, Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura in front of, according to our friends at DraftKings, literally pull out a coin, heads or tails, -110s each way. My pick is Tai Tuivasa, KO round 2 after a tough start. Marcin tackling him and laying on top, not landing very much damage. And then Tai gets up and says to hell with this and knocks him out round 2.
I'm going to go round 1 knockout for Tai and really hope that we don't get like 3 or 4 or even 5 rounds of Tybura just out-grappling him and just stifling him, because it's really possible. But I like Tai. I like the whole back against the wall narrative. I know this is combat sports and that doesn't mean anything, but I'll give him the nod this time. I'm going first round KO for Tai.
Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. There's our picks. We are almost halfway through round number 1 of the Gregorio and Ellinger battle, and Ellinger trying to get the back of his opponents. They're battling against the fence. It's an all-action affair at the world's most famous Apex. The dozens and dozens of people are going crazy. You can cut the tension with the knife. But when it's all over, we'll be back. We'll discuss it all. And then AK will join me tomorrow for a brand new edition of On to the Next One, some matchmaking following UFC Vegas 88. And then we're on the road to UFC Vegas 89. And then we're on the road to UFC Atlantic City. And then back to the world's most famous Apex for some middleweights. We now found out Brendan Allen, Chris Curtis 2 will be the main event of that card. And then it's UFC 300 time. So enjoy the afternoon, early evening of fights. And we'll see you later on. For AK and Mike Heck, have fun, everybody.
Post-fight show as well.
And post-fight show. Yeah,
I'll see you there.